at 65 acres burned. And in that area, they do actually have some evacuations, 450 homes. Ansar Hassan has been providing information. That is, of course, near the 680 area. And I know Mike was pretty worried about the weather conditions over there with the ability to spread that coming up from the canyon. So there's that. And then do you want to brief us on the other two fires?
Yeah, these are by all means smaller. The Benicia fire, this is near the Valero Refinery, which adds an extra layer of interest, certainly. And the Tim fire near Vacaville, which we also have touched upon, which is in the center top portion of your screen. And Mike, certainly fire conditions right now, not good. Not only is it hot out there, but also you mentioned the low humidity.
Right, and here's another byproduct. If we can go to the graphics real quick and show Sky 7 of what we have to deal with when there's a fire season. They dropped retardant on top of the houses, some of them with solar panels. Wow. I mean, that's how serious they are about containing this fire. That's and rightfully so, I would guess. You don't want those houses to burn, but man, they just dropped it right on top of that. But as we talked about the winds, and we're pulling out right here, and you can see the winds blowing the smoke off to the east. We've got that delta breeze moving through the Carquinez Strait, running around 20 to 25 miles per hour. Temperature's about 86 in Crockett right now, and you can see there's not a lot of trees until you start to get up on the hills a little bit, or just a little bit farther to the east there where Port Costa, some of those houses are, and also to the west is where Crockett is. But I don't think anybody in Crockett should be really that worried right now, because the winds are actually blowing everything away from you towards Port Costa, possibly Martinez, and if it can make it over the Carquinez Strait into Benicia. But thankfully, I don't see many trees with those ginormous flames that would throw some of those embers farther down the road. I don't see that with this particular fire right now, just from what I'm seeing from Sky 7. So that is a good sign right there. All right, let's talk about what's going on there. We'll show you, actually, we're going to go down to the Canyon fire first, where it's 81, humidity is 28%. Winds are still very gusty, around 15 to 23 miles per hour. The winds in this area will calm as we get to the sun setting around 8:35, and then they will pull down even more as we head into the overnight hours, as the sea breeze, which is induced by the exceptional warmth inland that draws that heavier, colder air towards the east, starts to slow down a little bit as temperatures cool off at night. Now, as the temperatures start to warm up, look what the winds do. They start to ramp back up, and they'll be in that 20-25 mile per hour range again tomorrow during the afternoon and into the evening hours. Humidity levels, watch the number, not necessarily the line or where they are. 26%. Moving forward, but ramping up to 91%. So we're going to have the calmest conditions, the coolest temperatures, and the best humidity when it's dark outside. Once the light comes up, you can see the humidity levels dropping back down to around 25% during the afternoon hours. For the Carquinez Strait, it's a whole different ball game here. Now, it doesn't get as hot here. It's 84 in Crockett. The humidity, though, is just as dry. Look at that, 16%, but it's the winds, and it's the constant nature of the winds through the Carquinez Strait and the Delta this time of the year, because we are reverting back to a very typical summer pattern with the morning marine layer clouds coming in on that breeze that blows through the Delta and the Carquinez Strait, and then the clouds go back, but the humidity level also goes with them. So let's take a look at what's going to happen here with our humidity levels. It will jump up to the upper 90s as the marine layer comes in with that extra humidity. But then when it kind of backs off tomorrow and the temperatures start to warm up, you can see those humidity levels dropping down to around 45, possibly 50%. That would actually be a little bit better than what we're dealing with right now. So overall, our winds are going to continue to slow down, but you can see right through the Delta, the Carquinez Strait into the Fairfield, they will remain very fast. Now, everybody will be dealing with increasing winds again tomorrow, which again at 9 o'clock tomorrow night will start to calm down during the overnight hours. And this is just a rinse and repeat cycle, at least through about Sunday. Good news is each morning that marine layer is going to get a little bit broader in its reach, and it'll cool temperatures down a little bit more, especially inland, and bring a little bit more humidity in. But it's not going to be ideal by any situation, but it's not going to get at least worse than what we're dealing with right now. Dion, Kristen?
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Right now, we want to go out to Ansar Hassan, who is live at the scene of the Canyon fire. We had heard better news about forward progress being stopped, but you tell us what is the latest.
Yeah, Kristen, good news. Fire officials are telling us that the forward progress on the fire was stopped. That's important because, as you can see, fire threatened the homes as it came down that hill. This area is the Golden Eagle Estates here in Pleasanton. Now, Alameda County Sheriff officials say 450 homes were evacuated, the homes here and those along Kilcare Road. The big concern for firefighters, Kilcare Road is one way in and out. Sergeant J.D. Nelson told me that if the fire reached that road, there would be no way to evacuate people. The Canyon fire, as they're now calling it, started as a brush fire on top of the mountain ridge sometime before 2 p.m. It's now burned more than 65 acres. That's according to CAL FIRE. There are no reports of injuries, but one structure, possibly an outhouse, was destroyed. Now, this area along Foothill Road sees a lot of traffic this time of day. Roads are still blocked getting into the neighborhood. We spoke to some people who were being evacuated. Here's what they had to say.
The peace officers came and they asked us to evacuate, which we did. I'm top of the hill. I can see the fire. So there's a lot.
Did it look like any homes were on fire?
No, there's no homes on fire. There's a lot of smoke.
I was coming home from Fremont with with two other girls, and as we were coming through Niles Canyon, we saw billows and billows of smoke, and it looked like it was by our house. So I said, step on it. And we came as fast as we could, and then we could see that it was probably up on the ridge. And so we came down Burnell. They stopped us at Burnell, and I had to walk all the way in because I couldn't get here.
An evacuation order is still in place for those who live in the Kilcare area and those here in the Golden Eagle Estate community. Pleasanton police say that the residents in the Castlewood neighborhood, which is just down the road, they are still under an evacuation warning. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
Sir, many thanks to you. Now, speaking of evacuations, we are getting some new word in from Contra Costa community warnings about the situation with the scenic fire. This is in Port Costa, where we find our colleague Tim Johns on the scene there. He just spoke with the spokesperson from Crockett Fire and has new details. Tim.
Yeah, Deanne, that's right. We just got done with a press conference here with one of the spokespersons for Crockett Fire. But before I get to some of those new details, I want you guys to take a look at some of the pictures that we're seeing here. If you look just over my shoulder here, you could still see some of the smoke just billowing down the mountainside here, making its way over to the water. Now, fire officials do tell us that this fire is still at about 20 acres with 0% containment. However, the progress has slowed, so that, of course, is some good news. Now, we also have some other images from Sky 7 and also some shots from here on the ground, which I want to show you guys as well. Now, this was a brush and vegetation fire, and we are told that it is displaying erratic fire behavior. Now, the cause of the fire is still unknown at this time, but fire officials say, of course, that will be a part of their investigation. Now, a couple hours ago, the town of Crockett was under a mandatory evacuation that would have affected about 200 people. That now has been downgraded just to an evacuation standby. Fire officials say, of course, if folks are still uneasy or nervous about that, they are more than welcome to evacuate, and they are still encouraging everybody in this standby order to be prepared just in case. Now, there are no injuries reported, and there's also no structure damage being reported at this time either. Now, Crockett Fire is taking the lead on this with some assistance from other agencies such as CAL FIRE as well. And like I said, this is still an active blaze. They are still going to be out here for several hours with more details to come. And we will continue to bring you the latest updates. But for now, Tim Johns, sending it back to you.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. So still be ready, but at this point, judging from what's going on now, they're saying folks have the all clear in the Port Costa area. Meantime, take a look at Benicia. We were telling you about this fire, which is burning not too far away from the Valero Refinery. You can see the smoke rising there. This one still seems pretty active. It is a smaller one, but we just got word. Firefighters have not said how many acres of brush have burned, and there are no evacuations at this particular moment. But Benicia fire officials are warning people who are in sensitive groups to remain indoors if they can. That's smoke, and consider keeping your doors and windows closed if possible, and of course limit your prolonged outdoor activities.
Yeah, also coming into the newsroom, new video of the fire that has led to an evacuation order in Solano County. Obviously a little shaky, but this is a time lapse. Crews have stopped forward progress on the fire in the Vacaville area of Solano County that forced evacuations and road closures. The Tim fire is centered near Buena Vista Lane and Tim Road in Vacaville, hence the name. It has burned just about 40 acres, and the Solano County Office of Emergency Services has warned residents in the area to leave their homes, leave your businesses. This was earlier this afternoon. That is the situation coming out of the Tim fire this afternoon. And we do want to take another look at this map where, Kristen, you can kind of see the line of where all the fires are. And earlier, when Crockett Fire spoke, one of the concerns that was voiced was because of the number of blazes that are happening in the Bay Area, is this going to take away from resources being dispersed from CAL FIRE? The good news is the answer is no. Lots of aerial fights are happening. We saw fire retardant being dropped in the scenic fire situations and Benicia fire.
Yes, multiple fires at one time, always a challenging situation. 3 of those, of course, in Contra Costa County, fairly close to each other. I should just mention that we're seeing that there is a train stoppage in Richmond due to ongoing fire department activity is what they're citing. This is a Capital Corridor train. We're not sure if they're referring to any of these wildfires that are happening right now or the brush fire, but you do want to be aware there could be delays on the Capital Corridor, and that's in Richmond. That's, of course, a little bit further out than where, you know, the Benicia and Tim fire are.
Yeah, and once again, I think we do have a picture coming out of Sky 7. This is the Phoenix fire. Once again, scenic fire, rather. This was once dubbed the Phoenix fire earlier on today. This is Port Costa, where we recently just heard an update from Crockett Fire. Now, this is a small community. Oftentimes people say, where is this? This is in Contra Costa County, a community of only about 200 or so residents. But from what we heard, this fire started on a hill and burned toward the water. You can see there the Carquinez Strait. You also see what appears to be a boat of some sort in the water moving toward the smoke. One of the issues that fire crews are dealing with right now are those eucalyptus trees. This is wooded. You can see that from this vantage point. You also see there the aerial fight is happening with one of those firefighting choppers nearing the scene, undoubtedly ready to drop retardant or water onto some of those flames. And again, the terrain is really what is causing issues for firefighting crews. You see there on Sky Map 7 an exact area of where we're talking about. Erskine Street, Fire Lane. You see some of that red retardant on the roofs of homes. And Mike Nico, you spoke a little bit about that. We saw the retardant being dropped on homes that had solar panels.
Yeah, right there, Prospect Avenue, right where that says Prospect Avenue. You see that red stripe. Those are the houses that you can see they just dropped a line right on top of them, and the house we're zooming in right near the A and Avenue, that's got quite a few solar panels there. Yeah, that's, who, Dion, ever thought that we would have to deal with this?
Yeah, really encouraging. And the situation year after year only feels exacerbated because of the climate issues we're dealing with.
Yeah, we're in this cycle of every day is a fire day, unless it's raining or at least it's turned green, which it did briefly during the winter after such a good, healthy, record-setting rain in October and again December. But then that also leads to so much grass being generated. Let me show you, I want to show you the air quality. If we can go back to the graphics really quickly. And you can see right near the fire, just at the southern tip of Pleasanton. This is from Purple Air, and this is showing some of their sensors reading unhealthy air quality. But as you look towards the rest of Pleasanton, up towards 680 and where 580 meet together, where we transition over to Dublin, or if you look to the right side of your screen where we go over towards Livermore and the Altamont Pass, air quality is fine. So hopefully it just stays limited to that one area because it is rising high enough that a lot of that smoke and the debris that's in it is going to hopefully waft over our houses. Now, for the Benicia area, it is unhealthy for those most sensitive. You can see right there in the southern tip of Benicia where we've got a few orange circles, and that's where some of the purple air sensors are saying the air quality is unhealthy for those most sensitive. But as you head back to the west, where we're going into Vallejo, everything's fine. You have a lot of clean air coming in through the San Pablo Bay that originated at the Golden Gate Bridge and out over the ocean as the smoke continues to blow more towards Fairfield and Vacaville. But I didn't see any issues with air quality there either, because pretty much the same thing's happening. A lot of the smoke is either getting fanned out or thinned out as it makes that travel to the west, and it's also higher up in the air. So in those couple of areas, just remember to close your doors, and if you're really worried about it, wet towels in the cracks. That will keep most of the smoke out, and do not run the air conditioner because that will draw in air from the outside. Even if you have all the windows closed, it can still your house breathe enough that it can breathe in some of that toxic air from the outside. So you want to turn anything that would draw the air in from the outside in those neighborhoods until the air becomes a little bit cleaner. Dion, Kristen?
Always a good reminder.
You know, Mike, this is just an observation, but I am concerned. This week, we had the Edgewood Park fire in the Redwood City area. On that day, we just had the temperatures problem and humidity problem. It was super hot, but no winds.
Right.
Today, we have the winds and, of course, still the low humidity problem, but not the high temperatures. We haven't had a day yet when we had the triple threat, all three of those factors that make for explosive fires. We've only had two, and we're getting these massive fires.
Right, and that is the concerning thing, is we look at, in essence, four things. Outside of the weather, we also look at the fuels, the grasses, and how much moisture they contain. So those are the four things: the temperature, the wind, the air humidity, and the moisture content in our bushes, our trees, our vegetation in general. And you're right, Chris, it's a great observation. We haven't had all four of them at the same time, but you don't have to have all four of them at the same time to have a heightened fire danger. You like to have all four of them to create what the National Weather Service's thresholds are for a fire weather watch. That would be 24 to 48 hours out, and then once you get within 24 hours, it would be bumped up to a red flag warning. So their criteria, if you look at what we're dealing with right now, is pretty high. So what we need to do, outside of them possibly changing their criteria for California's extreme weather, because, you know, the National Weather Service is a national company, and a lot of their national organizations and a lot of their thresholds are based on, well, what happens in other parts of the country, honestly, that has different type of weather than we have. So maybe they can modify it here, but if they don't, then all you have to do is look around. When things turn brown, we're in fire season. It's pretty much that quick. When we go from that brown, from green in the winter to brown, fire season's here. That's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, we have heard from officials that we needed to gear up for what would be possibly the worst fire season on record. And what you said earlier really struck a chord. The driest California landscape that we have had in many, many years. This is despite some stretches of rain and precipitation that we've had in the spring, but still cannot make up for it.
Yeah,
well, it's
many centuries. Centuries, 1,200 years.
Wow. All right, Mike, thank you very much. This conversation will be continuing in the coming weeks and months. Right now, as we wrap up our coverage, here's another look at the map showing the 4 fires burning right now. Tim Fire in Solano County, forward progress stopped. 39 acres, 35% contained.
Yeah, apparently we have some new updated numbers for the Canyon Fire. Also, Alameda County, there has been forward progress that has been stopped. 65 acres from what we understand, and 0% contained. The Scenic Fire, this is out of Port Costa, the Crockett area. The all clear has been given to residents there, that community of about 200 or so. 50 acres, perhaps up to 65 have burned, 0% containment. And the Benicia Fire near the Vallejo Refinery, no evacuations or acreage updates there.
We'll continue to follow all of these fires and bring you the very latest on abc7news.com, the ABC7 News app, and ABC7 News tonight at 9 and 11. Thank you for watching and streaming with us.